Hey guys, welcome back. This is Donna Sharp with Holistic Wellbeing. Thank you so much for joining me here on day 480 of Doing These Lives. As you may or may not know, I had been speaking on the subject of 3 steps to creating a strong family, and that's by Stephen Covey. So tonight I will be continuing with a different section that he has now broken down into his book to give you a better understanding of how to develop a relationship. Hello, Danielle. How are you? Welcome. Thank you for joining. To give you a better understanding of how to develop a relationship with your children or future children, right? So remember, your children don't have to be adults in order to understand how to foster a good relationship. And great relationships between you and your children are a lot of times a reflection of the type of relationship that you have with your spouse. So just keep in mind that the way that you treat someone that you say that you love makes a big difference, all right? If it's someone you love and care about, you will make sure that you treat them appropriately. Yesterday when I spoke on a scripture speaking about love is patient, love is kind, it is not self-seeking, it doesn't boast, and all of those wonderful things. So keep in mind, when it comes to fostering a relationship with your children, all of those things matter, and you want to make sure that you're not in a dictatorship mode as far as telling your children what to do, but gaining their understanding, teaching them, educating them, and getting them to come alongside you as you are coaching them through a process. So last night I spoke on the topic of apologizing and how effective it is to apologize to your children, because as adults we make mistakes. And it's okay to say, I am sorry. It makes you a bigger person. It gives your children a greater respect for you. And they won't look at you in a different way, and you're wondering, where is the breakdown taking place? You'll have a clear understanding of why it is that they feel the way that they do. All right? So speaking on the subject of respecting, tonight I'm speaking about respecting our children. Is it actually, hi Wanda, thanks for joining. Is it actually important for you, for us, to respect our children? That's my question to you. Is it important for us to respect our children? I feel that it is, but I'm going to tell you what Stephen Covey says, and that's what I'm sharing with you tonight are just little tidbits from his book on this particular section. So remember, one of our family law, we spoke about different family law in the book so far, and it's establishing a foundation that it's going to make things a lot smoother when it comes to communication with your children and your household. All right. So one of the family law is making sure that you respect your children. And yes, thank you, Wanda. And it goes both ways. It's not just the children respecting us, we have to respect them as well. Because remember, they are growing prodigy of you. So as you're growing and learning, if we're going to teach them to do something, why not allow them to see us doing it? All right. So it's clearly understood that we sometimes speak to anyone else as though they were servants or objects or extreme irritations. This is what parents are actually doing with their friends and associates. That's not a good thing, guys. You want to make sure you have nothing but the highest regards for your children when you're speaking about them. If you have a relationship, for example, that's been damaged and you're trying to rekindle that relationship, still speak light about your children to someone else. That's super, super important. All right. So our children are, and I think should be, joys to have with capabilities of learning what we appropriately share with them. Right? I feel like they should be a joy. Your children should bring you so much joy and enlightenment that it's just unbelievable. Right? You birthed them, you brought them into this world. How dare us speak against them instead of helping them to mature and move ahead? So imagine that your children were your best friends or your best children. How would you respond? Let's say there were someone that's close to you. How would you respond to them as a parent? Here are a couple of suggestions. I would say the first one would be courtesy. You want to make sure you have a lot of courtesy for them, right? The second one would be ask rather than tell. Like anything else, even in a relationship between a man and a woman, you never just tell someone what to do. It could even be between siblings or friends, right? or colleagues, I don't know, whatever the topic is, the same goes. Do you just tell people what to do, or do you ask? You know, so and so, wouldn't it be nice if you would you be, it would be great if you can just can you grab that for me? Would that be okay? You ask, you don't tell them, because people get a funky feeling when they don't feel like they're involved in the task that you're extending to them, right? So ask rather than tell. Say please. Oh my goodness, please goes such a long way. I can't tell you how many times I hear conversation and people don't include the word please and thank you. And it's, the simplest things in life that we should be taught of at a very young age. What I've actually found is when I am in those particular modes with individual, which is most of the time, they find it very peculiar. They look at me and say, wow, you don't have to thank me for that, or you don't have to, but it's a courtesy thing for me. It's a lot of times the same when I address individuals that are older than I am. And I say, no, sir, thank you, Mr. And, have people that actually tell me, you don't have to answer me Mr. or Mrs. It's a courtesy thing, and that's how I was brought up. Don't take offense to it. Doesn't mean that you're older than you are necessarily. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. It's just a courtesy. It's called common courtesy, and that's the way that we respect each other, right? So please and thank you go a very long way. And also excuse me. Excuse me is another big one. I don't see that happen quite frequently. So with our children, we want to make sure we're teaching them these things, because if there's anyone else on the outside of the household that is not necessarily doing and performing these actions, it's okay. Because guess what? You did your part as a parent in teaching them all of these proper credentials so that they follow suit. It doesn't matter if the world is following them. It doesn't matter if they're not seeing it out there. The fact is you did your part, right? Every little dot connected together draws a long line. When does that line form? I can't tell you, because everyone's not on the same page. But just make sure that you do your part as a parent. So understand that firmness and kindness are not opposites or mutually exclusive. All right? Firmness and kindness are not opposites or mutually exclusive. So I'm going to read a story from the book, as I usually do. One other point I want to mention here is from his book is Mutual Respect Generates Calmness, Cooperation, which is one thing you definitely want to have in your household, right? So here's a story I'm going to read to you on respecting our children. It says, I remember having something of an epiphany in the middle of the night once with one of our babies. This child was keeping us up all night. Linda was exhausted, and I was trying to settle the baby down and his bottle. But he was restless and colicky and just would not stop crying. I had an early meeting the next morning and knew I needed to sleep. I was becoming more and more angry at the howling 1-year-old. He finally calmed down for a minute. I looked out of the window into the starlight and had a thought. Our roles could be reversed. I had to come to Earth 30 years before this son of mine. He would have come before me, and he would be the one losing sleep, trying to quiet me down and getting angry. I could just as easily have been colicky infant, helpless and uncomfortable, anxious for what soothing my parent could provide. Our children are equal to us in every way. We should respect them as brothers and sisters. They deserve as much respect from us as we do from them. So boy, doesn't that sound like a very familiar story. I remember when my children were young, it was the same crying intensely and not stopping. But you know what? Those moments change. There are phases of life that we go through. It doesn't necessarily last, but it's a process. And if you don't have children, you'll understand why when that time does come. They are an extreme joy to have. They're your slight challenges and your slight test of time that it takes to really get them here. But when they come, it's such a wonderful joy. So I want to share with you just a couple more points on respect that I found that I thought was interesting. It is our duty as adults and parents to make our children make sure our children are respected, loved, and nurtured. And you guys all know we have to continue nurturing them. They're not going to get it from anywhere else. So the best place to start, I would say, is at home. The second thing is there wouldn't be a prosperous society if we ever forgot to treat our children with the respect that they deserve. The same way you deserve respect is the same way you want to make sure you're initiating respect to them. And the last one is, remember, children today need to respect and be respected in return. So remember, it goes both ways. It's not just one side or the other. All right. So I'd like to read a quote to you. Let me just see if I jot it down. Maybe I didn't. Nope, I don't think I have it here. All right, so I'm going to go to the scripture. I'm going to read to the scripture that I found. Scriptures, I found a few of them. There's so many of them, right? But some of these you might have heard before and some may not. The first one's Ephesians. Father, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. And that's Ephesians 6:4. Just in case you'd like to do some studying on it, you can read it a little bit more. Remember I said a couple of days ago that you want to make sure that you are basking in the word when you read it. Don't just read it the first time and say, I don't understand what it is. Because if you're reading from a particular Bible, you may find that it's the King James Version particularly. You'll find that you'll read it and it sounds like some other language. But if you go into your study Bible and you break it down, it will give it to you in layman's terms so you can really understand what it's speaking. Now, other times, scriptures as this is pretty blatantly clear what it's intended to say. All right. The other one is Colossians 3:21, and it says, fathers, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged. How often do you see parents provoking their children to no end? They might not have gotten what they were asking for from their children. I spoke on that yesterday or the day before. And instead of asking and bringing clarity to the situation, you're assuming something happened and it really didn't. So you're just constantly provoking them, and then they get annoyed. And then you ask them further down the line, a couple of days later, you say, how can I help you? What can I do to? And by this time, they're so annoyed, they don't even want you to be bothered with you. So be careful and make sure that you're being consistent at what you're doing, especially when it comes to the disciplinary process. You don't want to be hot one day and cold the next. All right. The other scripture that I found here is Colossians 3:20. The last one, by the way, was Colossians 3:21. This is 3:20. It says, children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. Plain and simple. You can break it down even more, but that just says it all right there. And the last one is Proverbs 22:6. And it says, train up a child in the way we should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. How much clearer can that be? So listen, guys, that is all I had for you tonight on respecting our children. I do pray that this was something that you can add into your backpack again. Just another little nugget. And remember, if you don't have children right now, it's okay. If you plan to have children, this is something that you will be faced with. So why not start early? And if you have children right now and you find that some of these things you have not been owning up to, remember what I said yesterday. It's okay to apologize. It's okay to admit that you don't know it all. And when you don't know it all, it's all right to research it and look it up. Because when you research it, guess what? You're going to obtain the right answers that you need to, or you'll get on the right path that you need to get on, right? In order to working out that wonderful relationship with your children. So if you love what you heard tonight, I'm going to encourage you to please share it with someone else. Hi, Al. Thank you for joining. Share it with someone else in your circle that you love and care about, and give them a chance also to take a look at this. And yes, you're very welcome, Wanda. And share it with someone in your circle so that they too can get a chance to see this live. Outside of that, please love the message tonight. I don't like the thumbs up. You guys know how I feel about that. Sometimes Facebook don't give you otherwise, all right? But I'm not going to force you to do what you don't like either. So, but if you'd like to learn more about me, please log on to my website. It's holisticwellbeing.com, WHOLELISTIC wellbeing.com. And there you will find out, guys, why I'm so passionate about what I do. So until tomorrow, I will be back again to speak with you on the topic of practicing the law of peace. We've been touching on various things. So tomorrow we're going to talk about practicing the law of peace and offer you some additional insights that I think you'll be able to take away with you as well. So Wanda, thank you for joining. Al, thank you for joining. Al, you came in on the end. I apologize. You may have to hit that replay button. And Danielle, thank you also for joining. And anyone else that's logged in later on, thank you for joining as well. And for all my other viewers, have a fantastic rest of your evening. And I will see you back here tomorrow on day 481. Take care. Ciao.